is Ahsoka. We'll start with episode 1. Before that, though, I can speak for all three of us in the sense that say that we all were big fans of the show. A lot of that is because we're all big fans of Star Wars Rebels.
And big fans of Dave Filoni.
Big fans of Dave Filoni. Special announcement, he just got announced to be the CCO, Content Creative Officer.
Chief Creative
Officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big move.
So,
happy about that.
Instead of, what basically that entails is, instead of being brought on current projects to help them, projects don't start until he signs off on it.
Yeah.
So
he's like leader of storyboards and stories, like storylines and everything. So
it's about 6 years too late, but
yeah,
we're here for it. I mean, 2015, honestly, so 8 years too late, but
yeah.
What knows? Man? Yeah, right. Who knows if he became that?
If he wrote the sequel trilogies,
if he could be in charge of the sequel trilogies, that would have been kind of crazy. Ugh.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean, I think there's a lot of content. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Like, even just looking at the first episode, like, there are moments that we could take, tons of time to dive into stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot. This is our Ahsoka episode 1 review. So, just started off at the beginning. I thought the intro scene was pretty cold. You can't just show Ahsoka at the start, Like, you got to show the story. And to lead with, like, hey, we got this Jedi ship here. Balin and Shin walk out, and, like, they just, like, slaughter everyone.
Massacre.
Like, red and orange lightsabers. Come out swinging. I thought that was pretty sick. So
I completely agree.
Same.
Very cold. Immediately, you're like, this dude's dog.
Oh, yeah.
We love Balin. It wasn't like this, is he, like, actually cool or not? It was like, oh, yeah, he's a dog, and let's see what happens, and if he's even cooler than we think already.
Yeah. No, agreed. I think it was kind of crazy how quick he went from being, like, new character to being, like, this guy is a goat. Like, he is so awesome. Takes the character of, just, like, takes who he was at the beginning to, like, a whole different level. Everyone's like, oh, who is this guy? Is he Sith? Is he this new brand of Sith? Is he Jedi? Is he whatever? Like, people didn't know what he was. But then he took that to, like, a whole different level, And so, yeah, I mean, the fact that the New Republic guy, also, like, it's interesting, too, that, like, Dave almost made the new, like, the beginning, when the New Republic captain of the ship just kind of starts scolding them and be like, you guys are Imperial trash, like, you guys are garbage and stuff. Kind of, like, making fun of them. To almost sets up, like, the New Republic as something like as, oh, yeah, here's another empire. Or here's, like, another, like, a different Imperial, right? Which is, in Clone Wars, that was a huge plot point on some of the planets that, like, oh, no, the Republic is here. But, like, you're just as bad as the CIS. You're just as bad as the Separatists. So, very interesting.
No, I think it's cool. I think he's doing a good job of bridging the gap. And, I mean, later on when we discuss episode 2 and further on, I think you start to see some of the problems with the New Republic. And, I mean, we've seen it already in a couple shows, right, with Mandalorian and some other stuff, right? The Republic didn't go to the Empire. Well, the Republic technically did go to the Empire, like, overnight, right? But, like, you saw the build-up to that in Clone Wars, right? And likewise in Mandalorian, right, we're seeing kind of like the overconfidence of the New Republic.
Yep.
Plus, like, there's still factions of the Empire everywhere.
Yeah.
And people want to downplay that and be like, oh, it's not a big deal. Right. But they're like, yo, like, doubt me. I'll come from the shadows. So.
Yeah.
Well, then it goes to Ahsoka, right?
Yep.
So Ahsoka, which I didn't really, until, watching it again, I didn't really pick up on the fact that it was a Night Sister stronghold where the map was found.
Well, yeah, because no one knew that. Everyone was thinking it was something, like, completely different, right?
Yeah. I just forgot that she mentioned it to Sabine later on.
Yeah.
Sabine's like, where'd you get this? She's like, in a Night Sister stronghold called Arcana. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was Night Sister related. Maybe I should have picked up in the first 5 minutes of the show that, like, oh, some big character is a Night Sister, and let's do process of elimination real quick, and it's probably going to be one person,
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, while we're on the topic of it, I think, Morgan Elsbeth was such an interesting character that came into Mandalorian, and you're like, who is this random person who can fight Ahsoka and
has such a normal name. That's the first thing that struck me off. I was like, Morgan Elsbeth. I was like, that sounds like my aunt's name. Like,
yeah.
sounds like someone I know from down the street.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, no, I think, but the fact that she is a Night Sister, right? And I agree, like, rewatching that scene, you see the statues in the background, like, you see the art and all that, and it's like, okay, no, this is totally Night Sister, right?
Right.
So I thought that was amazing, and the fact that they brought that into the show and made it such a pivotal point, especially as people who are big fans of Clone Wars, Rebels, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, right? Like, seeing the Night Sister influence, I think, was a really good move to help kind of explain everything and take the plot where they wanted it to go. So
agreed. And I mean, I was jumping the gun when I first saw like the carvings on the wall, and I was just like, no way, Zepho, here we go. Like, I was just so excited. And then, but I mean, as we know, spoiler for Jedi Fallen Order, game came out 2019, so if you haven't played it since then, I mean, it's up to you. This is on you. But, like, the Night Sisters do have a connection with the Zepho, with the Zephonians. And so I thought, oh, great. Like, as soon as they mentioned, like, when Ahsoka's like, yeah, I found this in a Night Sister stronghold, I was like, oh, here we go. Like, it's lining up, like, Zepho, Night Sister, here we go. I'm super excited. Because, I mean, that's all. I mean, I could say that for all of us, is that we're excited to see Cal Kestis take a bigger role in the Star Wars universe than he has already. And so...
he's already back, Night Sister, so, like, he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
Let's just keep it at that.
Yeah.
He
First
way
Jedi.
with Dathomir.
First Jedi to learn magic,
So, what I got next on mine?
next you go to Hera. I mean...
Yeah, so she shows up on a hologram. She doesn't show up actually till the physical form till the second one, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she shows up and she's pretty much just consoling Ahsoka,
Yeah.
saying, like, you need to give her a chance, or, like, why'd you come back anyways? No, she does show up in live action.
Yeah, she's on the ship.
On the
with
ship,
Ahsoka.
and that's where she
Yeah.
says, what did I put?
She talks to her about, like,
Oh
the
yeah,
story.
because Ahsoka tells Hera, she's like, our enemy thinks that they know where Thrawn is, and she's like, didn't he die at the Battle of Lothal? And so that kind of caught me off guard, because I was like, Hera, like, you don't watch him die, like, you just assume that wherever he went killed him, and that's like, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
If you haven't given up on Ezra being alive, then, like,
I guess it's
you can't count out Thrawn.
But I mean, if you think about it,
if
you think about it from their perspective, like, they're looking up at the Star Destroyer, at Thrawn's Star Destroyer, and then seeing the Purrgil tentacles just, like, shooting and firing, shooting and firing. So, I mean, it's pretty safe to assume that she's like, well, I was talking to Ezra as he blasted out of there, but then, like, who knew?
Ezra,
Like,
get out of there.
yeah. Or it's like, maybe the tentacles just, like, stab him, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that was interesting.
Because Hera convinces her to go to Sabine, even though she was already thinking about going to Sabine. But
She's looking for other ways, but...
Hera, being the mother of Star Wars that we all love, she just was like, she's trying to, like, get the fam back together as much as possible, right?
Yeah. And I think it's something, I mean, you see it a lot more in episode 2, and we can talk about that in another episode, but, like, she just does an excellent job of, like you said, being the mother, right? It's not like, hey, you gotta go do this and do this, I'm the general, like, follow this, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna, like, talk to Ahsoka and discuss with her, like, some of the trauma that she has with her master and Anakin, but then she's like, Sabine, I can also talk to Sabine, and Sabine has that trust in Hera that she's kind of lost in Ahsoka, right?
Yeah.
To be able to kind of connect the two and bring them back together. I think, for me, Hera was an incredible addition to the show.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. The only thing we, I think, ever talked about not liking was we just wish it was the same voice, but even then, after 8 episodes, I felt like, the voice is fine.
She did it perfectly.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's, I mean, the little side note for it, that it's Ewan McGregor's wife, is that much better,
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's like,
absolutely.
Star Wars just kind of, like, keeps it in its own close-knit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
while we're on the topic of same voices, same actors, right? Flash, like next scene, we get live action Lethal, which was beautiful,
Sick.
10 out of
amazing.
10. 10 out of
And then
10.
we
Sick.
get Ryder
Ryder
Zadi,
Same voice.
same actor, and we get Jaikel, right? Jaikel, I think different.
Yeah,
I don't. He might
it
be
was
different. I'd
Dante
have to double check.
Bosco, wasn't it? It was
It might have been. I think it was Dante Lasco.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I know
But
Ryder was the same.
we get Ryder the same, which
iconic voice.
which is
iconic.
awesome. Which
Yeah.
is so cool.
yeah, no, that was sweet to hear
David's
that.
finest, you know.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's pulling the strings. We like that. And Jaikel, he's a senator now. Like,
Yeah.
shout out to the kid.
He's the
man.
senator of representing
Yeah.
Lothal.
Yeah. And then I don't know about you guys. Lothal is like top 3 planet for me. Like I'm a big Lothal fan. Sounds like you guys aren't, but it's
No, I mean, I'm a Lothal fan. It's just,
I'll
yeah.
have to think about
We're
it.
going to have to rate those planets. I got to think. It's maybe like, Tatooine,
Jakku.
Jeddah, Jakku, another, sand planet. No, dude, Lethal's pretty high.
Dude,
on the
Hoth
list.
is just it's snow instead of sand.
Yeah, honestly. All right, so following that point, we have the speeder bike scene, which was controversial.
Very controversial.
Yeah, I agree.
Personally, I wasn't really a fan. Like
Agreed.
The music, the whole rock vibe, Sabine's kind of she's kind of edgy punk rock. I'm gonna spray paint stuff, but
Yeah.
it just that didn't really hit for me.
No, I agree.
So
I just didn't see her as the Sabine at the end of Rebels, right? Like the Sabine that's at the end of Rebels, she's like the stoic, I need to do what it's like. I was raised by Kanan, who's always
which end of Rebels? Like the finale?
The
The
finale.
last 2 minutes, or
no.
saying, or Sabine saying, Ezra, get out of there.
Yeah,
That
Sabine.
Okay.
Who she's took over. She was she knew what she needed to do, but again, it's honestly Sabine through the entire season 4, where she kind of comes to terms with who she is, or she kind of grows into her character a lot more and kind of becomes more more mature. And I mean the fact with Kanan and Ezra both stepping up in their role as Jedi, she felt like she needed to step up as her role as well as a protector as a rebel sort of thing. So
and
that
a
whole
leader of her people.
Yeah, and a leader of her people, right? And the fact that she's just there's this scene, there's the whole celebration of her, and celebration of Lothal, and people oh, this is great, this is the liberation of Lothal, and then she's just dipping. She's no, I'm not going to be a part of this. I just don't see that either.
Yeah.
And the whole rock scene where she's kind of punk. It's I'm a punk rocker. I don't see that.
Can I rebuttal that?
Yeah, please.
I didn't hate it as much. I felt like it was Dave showing that she was still trying to be a kid, and she's only 16 in season 1 of Rebels, right? But I also think that, which we'll talk about more, is the setback that Ahsoka set on her, and that she obviously played a big role in because she's stubborn too, right? Threw her in phase of time into I don't give a crap kind of thing. She doesn't believe in me. Why should I believe myself? Why does anyone care about me? Why should I show up to this thing? No one cares. I don't care, so why should anyone care?
Right.
You know? And so that's my rebuttal to that, but I do agree. I felt like the music was a little too much. It was kind of like the Andor music when he's on that random party outpost. I was it's a good song, good fun. I'm glad it blew up or whatever compared to most soundtracks on Star Wars. But I felt a little too extreme. I didn't really, punk rock wasn't one of my first choice for her. I feel more funky or techno be more her style.
Yeah.
But regardless, I feel like I could see what they were trying to do. I appreciated it. And yeah, I'm not gonna let that ruin the episode.
No,
right?
Totally.
But it was just
we'll let the staff do
it's
that.
Unfortunate that some
which we'll discuss in a few minutes. But no, I think to your point,
give this episode a 5 out of 10, bro.
Dude, to your point, she is different than she is at the end of Rebels, right? She's witnessed the destruction of her people, almost entirely,
Slash
right?
killed her people.
So there's definitely, I think, a lot of that, why do I care about anything anymore, right? Ahsoka doesn't believe in me. I failed my people. I don't care about anything,
I freaking gave the freaking dark saber to Bo-Katan. Another L. We can talk about another time, but
yeah. So moving past that, we got Ezra's Tower.
goated. Big fan.
Goated.
Loth Cat.
Again, the Loth Cat is
Looks
there.
great
job.
Yeah, great job.
That's one thing. The creatures that they created, that they put in the show, why don't they make more shows like that? there's a lot of where like the adaptation of from animated to live action, and the creatures just look dumb.
Well, think about it.
But
Like,
this one looked
We got the
great.
future of Dave being the chief creative officer, right? So that'll be good. I think, honestly, outside of Zeb from Mandalorian Season 3, like, it's all just been super casual with the details.
Right.
Cad Bane, dude, a fan made the edit in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
That we wanted. Kenobi, the Grand Inquisitor, a fan made that in 10 minutes.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker hallway scene in Mandalorian Season 2.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, like, the attention to detail wasn't there. Ahsoka, the attention to detail was there.
Oh, yeah.
Both cats fight. We'll get into the combat in a little bit, next episodes, too.
Yeah.
Like, they came out with that 7-minute little shindig about Dave Filoni talking about the making of Ahsoka or whatever, and he was like the real fans know the difference between casual and, like, detail. And, like, we are not about to mess that up.
Yeah.
And this was a show not to mess it up on.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
So,
But I think, that's evident in the tower, right? Like, we could do, like, an hour-long breakdown of, like, every single Easter egg in Ezra's tower, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can see, like, all of Sabine's armor. You can see that the helmets that, like, Ezra's painted, or that Sabine's painted for Ezra,
his
right?
Old
Like,
helmets, too. That
like there's just so much detail in there, which was
the
amazing.
hologram of her listening to the recording or whatever.
Yeah. And him in his, like, the end of season 4, like, outfit and everything.
Yeah.
Super clean.
Which, I mean, the voice recording or the video recording, for me, that was the biggest L of episode 1.
I might agree with you, because you can bring up what I think you're bringing up.
Yeah. So, you're like, okay, so I'm watching this. I have hope. Yeah, I've been a Sub-Ezra fan since season 4 of Rebels. Well, no, since like season 1 of Rebels, bro.
Season 1, but like that was when we were just like Team Ezra. Yeah. It was kind of annoying, but like, let's see if he can pull, right?
Yeah.
And then season 3, it was like, oh, like, Ezra's kind of, like, mature now. Like, look at him using the dark side. Like, look at him growing up, kind of thing. And season 4, it was like, Ezra's
a dog.
Yeah.
Like, Sabine would be lucky, you know?
No, totally.
But Sabine steps up, too. Like, Ezra would be lucky.
Oh, yeah.
She does mature.
Season 3, when Ezra's, like, talking to her about, like, her learning how to use a saber. One of my favorite episodes of Rebels, right? Trials of the Dark Saber. He's, like, sitting to her, like, this isn't easy. Like, at least you have family to go to. Why not try and stand up for them? Like, why not, like, try and find their forgiveness one more time. I don't have family to do that for.
Yeah.
And she, like, steps up her game, right? And then, obviously, Kanan,
has that, like, whole emotional scene with Kanan.
Yeah. No, so I'm watching
Hera,
that.
of course, intricate in that episode, too.
Oh, totally. No, so I'm watching that, right? And I'm like, oh, like, this is so cool. Ezra left her a personal voice message, bro. Like, that's fire. And then he goes, we, like, grew up in the rebellion together. I don't have a family, but you're, like, my sister. And I was like, no, Dave, what are you doing? Right?
Here's my here's my rebuttal to the assumption that that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
We thought that for, like, it was, like, we all wanted Cal Marin, right? And it was like, oh, it's just going to be Cal, Cal's a Jedi, whatever. In the book.
Okay, I was
so in the book, that was terrible, by the way. He is, like, so against, like, anything with Marin. Like, he's so against it. And Marin in that book is, like, figuring out her sexuality. That's, like, 3/4 the book.
Yeah.
And so, to see Cal in Survivor make the other decision and be Team Kanan and be like, you know what? I can be a Jedi and I can Riz. Like, that was a dub for Jedi Survivor. And, like,
it's true.
Ezra's been off for 5 years. He sent that before he was lonely on.
It's true.
In Peridea, bro.
Well, and here's the deal. Like, I trust Dave. I trust Dave.
That's true.
So and in this aspect, I have to believe in Dave. I have to believe that he's going to make it right.
If Ezra's going to pull,
he gives you reason to believe, to trust him, right? In episode 4, I think when Balin goes to Peridea, like, Sabine chose Ezra over destroying the map. She chose Ezra. So, like, and I get that she's been choosing Ezra constantly through the show.
Yeah.
But, like, that was a big moment. That was like, choose Ahsoka or choose Ezra,
Yeah.
And it was very clear she chose. Which we'll get to that, of course, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Agreed. I think that was, all of us, that our hearts crumbled a little bit at that point.
Yeah, episode 5 fixed that in a heartbeat, but...
Yeah. Looking at some of my notes I got here,
Ezra hologram, that was...
Yeah, that was...
Ezra for now.
For now.
Ezra, we're coming on.
We'll put it on the back burner. don't you lose hope yet, fans.
Yeah.
We're advocates for young love.
So now we move over to kind of some of another big reveal in this episode, right? we figure out that Sabine was Ahsoka's apprentice, right?
Right.
Which for I think everyone was a surprise, right?
Huge.
Like I didn't see that one coming personally.
Yeah.
I didn't think that she was a Jedi material at all. But
Right.
I trust Dave had it in the works the whole time. That's
Yeah.
my mentality with it. He's got this thing going. Like, he's had it going forever.
Yeah.
But it did throw me for a loop. Episode 2 we'll talk about a little more, but yeah, it threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree. I mean, if you think about it too, it's like, throwing it back to what Kanan said, in that episode where he's like, she's just so stubborn, like she's blocking herself because she's Mandalorian, right? And so that kind of just like people were grabbing onto that. I mean, like this is the only reason, like the only straw that they had to like grasp. And I was just like, I just don't see it. I'm like, I just don't see how this regular, like Joe or whatever, just this Mandalorian who is awesome, like who we cared about, but we liked her as a Mandalorian, not as a Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Like Sabine became like a beloved character because of who she was as a Mandalorian, being like a weapons specialist. She's being like explosive specialist, being who she is as Mandalorian. That's who we fell in love with. And now that like she's kind of trying to take into this like new role as a Jedi, it almost feels like you can't be. I mean, and maybe again, I trust Dave on this, and maybe he'll prove me wrong. But you can't be Mandalorian and Jedi, right?
Except for Tar Vizsla, bro.
Except, yeah, but what happened to him? He took the saber and went back to Mandalore and took over Mandalore. So, in the end, it's like one is so abundant than the other that like those two personalities they'll mesh and one will come out on top. But again, maybe I trust Dave, and so I hope that he makes me wrong on that or something else,
yeah. We have some discussions here after that point between, again, Hera and Ahsoka talking about Anakin.
My favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
Look,
Okay.
that was my favorite part. I personally have not liked live action Ahsoka through Mando, through everything until the late part of this show, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she, even in Rebels, just had more passion, more energy, more excitement, more drive. Even though, like, her whole...
She seemed more alive.
Yeah, more alive. Like, it just... Even though she's been on the go, like, Sabine in the first episode's like, where you still living out of this old piece of junk or whatever? She's like, I go where I'm needed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, where's the passion? Where's the fire? Where's the aliveness, like, of all 7 seasons of Clone Wars? Like, you see her mature, but, like, she's still, like, a dog, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so... I feel like live action Ahsoka hasn't been the dog, like the awesome Jedi / Force wielder that I want her to be, and I know that she is. But like, I love this scene with Hera because it's the first step in all of her live action where she's like, "Oh, realization. I'm doing exactly what I did prior, and look what happened. Oh, lost my master. Oh, Empire started. Oh, maybe I should change my ways. Maybe I should, consider the possibility that maybe." It's not just Sabine, It's actually, like, a huge portion of me, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of my fault. She's like, It's my fault that Anakin left. It's my fault that Sabine, I gave up on her. I made that decision.
Yeah.
And Hera, being that
Well,
that we love, dude. She's helping Ahsoka see what she needs to see.
Motherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see that in a little more in season 2, in episode 2. With just Hera just kind of stepping in. Again, just being who she is, right? The entire show, since season 1 of Rebels, like, Hera's just been that voice of reason for the Ghost Squadron and everything, and just... Phoenix Squadron, excuse me. I was thinking of Spectre, and I was like, it's not Spectre Squadron. But for all of Phoenix, the Phoenix Squad, like, she has always been that voice of reason, and she's always, like, ready to rebuttal with, like, these wise... quips, and it's just been, even like to Kanan, who's a Jedi, right? Wisdom, even when he was truly connected with the Force, like she was still there being like, hey, just remember, like bringing him back to Earth,
Yeah.
Any other big moments?
Yeah, I mean, I think besides getting into like the final duel scene and stuff, we haven't talked about Hu Yang up to this point.
Yeah.
I thought he was an excellent addition to the show. In the first episode, after they kind of see the hologram, and again after Sabine goes off to decipher the map, there's a moment where you have Ahsoka and Hu Yang together, and they're analyzing Balin Shin's lightsabers, right? And I thought that whole exchange was really cool.
Is that the first episode?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, episode 1. And yeah, he talks about, we saw this lightsaber crafted in the temple and stuff, but this one we haven't seen, and so we're like, okay, clearly they're Jedi, right? Maybe one of them isn't Master and Apprentice, right? And I thought that scene was really cool. And throughout the series, I mean, like, here's the deal. I love Chopper. R2-D2 is a classic. Never been a C-3PO fan. Like that one droid from Rebels, I didn't even bother learning his name.
85. Show some
sucks.
No, that's how you show. He doesn't even know his name.
Yeah, I don't even know his name. All right. Okay, BD1. BD1 is a dog.
Yeah.
Okay, big fan of
that's
BD1.
top 2 with Chopper, bro, and that's R2.
But I'm like,
Sounds
if you're gonna bring a droid into the show, Hu Yang was an excellent addition to the show.
Perfect.
He brings like the wisdom and the generations of Jedi with him, while not being like this like super annoying, like I'm always in this thing. He has those like super emotionless droid like funny one-liners throughout the first couple episodes and throughout the series, which is cool. But I thought the lightsaber analysis in episode 1 was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah,
so
I completely agree.
Yeah.
No, I mean, agreed. Just the fact that he was just like, this lightsaber, like, I've seen generation upon generations of Jedi, like, in their lightsabers, but this one was so unique. Mm-hmm. And I know only one person could have built a lightsaber like this, right?
Yeah.
And so that was cool. He's like, Balin Skull, named him by name, which is cool because it's like, he knows, like, it kind of gives, like, a familiarity to him.
Yeah.
Instead of this, like, ominous, like, who is this mysterious being? Is it just completely brand new guy that they just kind of wrote in just to, like, make the story interesting? Yeah. No, it's someone that potentially we could have seen in past stories.
Yeah,
totally.
All right, only one other thing I wanted to mention before the fight at the end was, it is mentioned that Morgan Elsbeth was an ally to Thrawn for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's how they had the connection. I never picked up on that. So I thought that was really interesting how she was the path to getting Thrawn back because of their long relationship. It wasn't just like, oh, this Night Sister's got magic. Like, no, there's a connection.
There is.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was definitely interesting. So, yeah, I think to wrap it up, the saber duel, last scene.
Am I going first?
And either way, I think it all leads up to the final stab, but we can discuss that last.
I did not dislike it as much as these guys.
No, I liked it.
The stab or the duel scene?
I loved the combat. Great.
The combat was great.
I thought the combat was amazing.
Shin used to stab Sabine was fire. She did like this. It's like a Cal Kestis move. That's actually from Jedi Fallen Order. They stole that move from Cal. But I thought it was a clean move. Like, and Sabine held her own for a while for not training for however long she was, isolated.
Right.
5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see, like, the whole thing was, like, Shin was playing with her, right, the entire time. Like, she could have ended her in, like, 1 or 2 swipes. Like, we know Shin has been practiced, has been trained, and she's been practicing with, we probably assume, with both sides of the Force. So she's probably dabbled between the light and darkness. That's why she's not, technically, they're not full Sith, is what the kind of like...
Balin's too smart.
Yeah.
He's too smart to pick one side.
No, yeah, exactly. He knows that there's something bigger out there, which is super, super interesting. But, like, the fact that she's, like, a way better fighter than Sabine. With swords and, like, with the saber and everything, just that sort of fighting. Even after all of the training that Sabine has had.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd say, I mean, as far as the duel and the combat goes, I thought it was great. Right? Like you said, there was a lot of attention to detail. Dave wanted it to be true for the fans, right? And I think that was captured, right? Do I think it's better captured in other battles throughout or like other saber duels? Probably, right? But I think in what they're trying to show, it's apprentice versus apprentice, right? Even though Shin has had what seems like more experience, right? Sabine, like, she has been trained by Ahsoka somewhat. But I think it shows, here's like these two people who aren't insanely good, but, they're both trying, they're both fighting each other. For me, my big hang up was the stab at the end, right? Yeah. Like Disney with the sequel trilogy, right? You have this whole, like, Kylo gets stabbed and Rey heals him, and then Rey's dying in the end and Kylo heals with the Force, whatever. Like, Force healing, like, yeah, it's an ability, right? But, like, to the extent that they're like using that, and then it's like, okay, well, does everyone who just gets stabbed now live? I just felt like a better way to tell the story is you already have Hu Yang and Ahsoka. They're like coming in hot to save Sabine, right? Sabine already radioed Hu Yang, so bring in Ahsoka, right? It's happened in Rebels. She shows up to fight the Inquisitors with Ezra, right? She jumps out of the ship and whatever, right? I think for me, it's a better ending if we have the same exact duel, but in the end, Hu Yang drops in Ahsoka and scares off Shin, right? Shin's like, clearly I'm outmatched here, instead of like stabbing this chick and running out, it's like, oh, Ahsoka showed up. I know that I'm not a match for her. I got to get out of here.
Right.
Agreed. I think more for me, it was that we just watched the Grand Inquisitor have two hearts or whatever, two stomachs.
Yeah, that's true.
Or whatever, and so I was like, oh, like,
Which
I trust Dave, but we just saw someone that probably shouldn't have recover, even though his species can do whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which I did do a little bit of research on that, and that actually was a fact from like 2014. So that is something that's actually been around for a while, at least like the Grand Inquisitor stuff. But Reva, and then Kylo Ren, it's like all these people who are just like, really?
We've seen it before.
You need some context. You're looking at two Qui-Gon purists, and they feel like Qui-Gon was gypped. All right, especially him.
I mean, there's
I get it.
Everyone gives a justification.
Yeah.
We grew up in the prequel era. I get that, but I mean that's why this is concerned, and that's actually why it's probably concerned for every
a lot
fan,
of fans.
Every fan.
And well, I mean, and there's people are making justifications for it already. So
like what?
Like
me?
No. I'm saying like justifications for all the people who've been stabbed. Right,
yeah,
and like how they're living and why Qui-Gon did it. So
I just think the immediate medical attention was the biggest thing. That's my
right.
Thing.
Yeah,
they have the ship there versus Qui-Gon's in the middle of Naboo's core reactor,
and she's like, I'll give it to her. She's stabbed like on the side of her body, down low, whatever. Like Maul put him right through the chest,
and he held it. Apparently, everyone's talking about how he held it in there, so it was like cooking up his organs too, and it's this whole thing where it's like because of how long he left it in there. I don't know. It's whatever justification you want to make with it.
Yeah,
it still happened, right? There's nothing we can change about it. No matter crying or moaning about it, it's not going to change.
Yeah. We just knew
Qui-Gon's still dead.
There's also plot immunity, right? So
you're not going to kill
Sabine
Sabine in the first episode.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That's why it's like, okay, give us something different. I don't think the stab was the move, but does it ruin the episode of the series?
No.
So. I mean, if they would have just made it like she gets shot in the arm, or something.
Or she gets into the arm. Like what if she dug a wound into her arm? Right?
Yeah, right. I mean, we saw that with Vader and Kanan, right?
Right.
Like,
and
Vader
and Dooku and Obi-Wan.
True. Yeah.
He gets incapacitated after that fight, So, I don't know. You could have done it. I mean, the way, again, I'm nowhere near, like, bagging on what Dave Filoni does and what his choices are because he has never led me astray. So, nor did he at this point. So, I'm still trusting him on that one.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Final ratings?
I'm going 7.5 out of 10.
Well, I'm going to give it a 9. It was a great entrance. It was a great entrance to the story. It made me very excited to watch more, and I think that's what a show should do.
So, with that answer, you can't give we're not doing these like 12 out of 10s. Like it's like 10 out of 10 is the highest. 10 is
I know.
To be the cap.
Well, again,
so that is like
the two biggest plot points that like really dropped to the point was the stab, and then the Seb Ezra. Yeah, just because that was a personal one. But if
personal,
yeah,
personal.
But took that one to heart.
But yeah, but everything else, I just I was still a little bit like washy on how Ahsoka was going to be, but I think that the story piqued my interest so much that I was like, I'm in. Like I'm in for this. I'm in for this. Like I love what Dave's doing already.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see more.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
So
I know. I mean, I'll be the critic here. Not by much, 7 out of 10. Yeah. I think, and maybe it's just hindsight bias, right? Maybe if I'm watching it for the first time, I give it a higher score. But looking forward to future episodes, episode 4, 5,
and on,
like those are going to be pretty high. And I don't think that I can say that this is that episode 1 was at the same level as those ones. So I have to go 7.
Exactly, and that's my same point too.
Yeah.
You have to be able to go up.
Yeah.
And I think there is a large enough difference between the first and like later on episodes, more than 1 point. You know? So that's why mine's 7.5. So
yeah. All right.
Well,
I think that's it. We'll go ahead and hit you guys with the next one, episode 2, coming soon.